Don't get me wrong, I love sponge filters, but one thing I really hate is how the bubbles will float up and pop on the aquarium lid and then cause like crusty white mineral buildup everywhere. Gross. Hi, I'm Irene with girltalksfish, here with practical tips for busy fish keepers like you. And I'll admit, I let this aquarium get really crusty. I didn't deal with it for months, so come with me as I show you how I cleaned off all the mineral buildup, as well as a couple ways I know to kind of prevent it in the first place. So to clean mineral buildup is at least pretty annoying in my case. This is the method I use. Basically get a big old jug of white vinegar. It's acidic, and so it's going to help kind of melt off the white crusty buildup. And I don't know about you, I personally don't like the smell, so I did all of my cleaning outside. Hindsight 2020, I also should have been wearing gloves in the first place because I don't like stinky hands. But basically, I took a hand towel, I poured the vinegar pretty heavily on it, and then just laid it on top of my aquarium lid so it could soak there for like 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how crusty your lid is. Mine was pretty bad. And then afterwards, because this is a glass lid, I was able to use a 6-inch razor blade to really get in there and kind of scrape off all of the crustiness. But then for the non-plastic parts, or non-glass parts, the plastic parts, I would have to either try to scrub it off with a towel or a toothbrush in some of the narrower areas. It didn't work as well, but it was kind of sufficient. And then afterwards, I just rinsed the whole thing pretty well with water out in my outside faucet, and I let it set outside to dry. Now that part isn't as bad. The part I really hate is cleaning the plastic, whatever this material is, aquarium rim, because I can't use the razor blade, which is the most effective tool because it'll cut into it. So in this case, I basically ripped up strips of paper towel, soaked them lightly with vinegar so that it wouldn't drip into the tank, and then I just kind of laid it on top of the rim to soak for, again, 15 to 30 minutes. Now ideally, you would set a timer. I totally forgot, so the vinegar ended up drying up, which probably wasn't as effective, so don't do that. But all I could use was basically either a toothbrush or like, if you have any of these dishwashing brushes, they have like a hard edge on them. And I use that to basically really try to get in there and scrape the rim as much as possible. It definitely was not perfect. There's a lot of areas that still have a little bit of crustiness, but at least it looks a lot better from far away, and only if you're looking up real closely, you can notice it. Now, because cleaning the crusty white stuff off the aquarium lid is so laborious, prevention is obviously what I prefer to do nowadays. And so basically there's a couple of methods. The first method I learned from Ella Brett's Aquatics way back in the day. He would use these white plastic yogurt lids to act as like an umbrella to kind of stop the bubbles from popping on the lid. I thought that was a little ugly, so I would buy black plastic folders, cut out a square, use an X-Acto or hobby knife to basically cut out an X in the, on the side of it. And then I would pull the airline tubing coming from the sponge filter through it, kind of like a straw. And then basically you've got like a little hat or umbrella that now the bubbles will pop on the plastic folder and not on the lid. And then you want to position that square basically right under the rim of the aquarium, so that way you can't see it from underwater. Now, I will admit sometimes this method wasn't great because the folder would tilt over time or get mispositioned, and so you'd have to adjust it so it didn't look ugly. But all in all, I was pretty impressed. No more white crustiness. It also prevented like that green algae sludge from growing on the aquarium lid where the bubbles would pop, as well as it really greatly minimized the amount of black beard algae growing on the sponge filter because it's acting as shade, which is so cool. Now, method number 2 comes because even though I've been using the plastic square method for many years, I started working for our aquarium co-op, and then they had this new like easy flow sponge filter that has this really tall curved airlift tube. And basically it's meant to increase circulation in your aquarium, but I found that because the bubbles were now, instead of going vertically up and just popping on the lid, they were kind of spraying across the surface of the water, and therefore they would pop somewhere kind of in the middle of the water, and therefore I wouldn't get that white crusty buildup on the rim of the aquarium. Now, some things I learned is because that airlift tube is really tall, sometimes it would grow algae because it's right under the light. So same thing, my trusty old plastic black folder, I would cut out a square and then use it to just place on top of the aquarium lid on the outside of it to cover right where the airlift tube is, and that way the light wouldn't shine on it and I wouldn't get algae growth. I mean, you can always scrub it out, but that helps a lot. Also, if you notice over time that the Easy Flow sponge filter isn't producing as many bubbles as before, don't do like I do, which I thought the air pump was defective. So I did the whole process of buying a replacement diaphragm, putting it back together again, only to find out that no bubbles were still coming out. And it turns out the Easy Flow sponge filter has a little air collar with tiny bubbles in it so that you don't have to put an air stone in your sponge filter anymore. I like putting an air stone in there because it makes the bubbles a lot smaller, more efficient, and less loud like a witch's brew. But the air collar, it does the same thing without an air stone, but it does get clogged up after a while. So what you can do is you can soak it in vinegar again if you need to. I usually don't need to. I just got like a little bit of airline tubing and then a kid's oral medicine syringe, and then you just like spray water through the air collar and it just unclogs all the holes. So keep that in mind. Let me know down in the comments if you have a favorite method for preventing mineral buildup, as well as how to clean it off, especially the aquarium lids, because I haven't quite figured that out perfectly yet. If you would like to see more sponge filter hacks, I've got the video right over here. Otherwise, take time to enjoy your aquariums, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!